World War III in Japan won't start with a flash on the horizon. It begins when the elevator in your Shinjuku high-rise stops between floors and the lights don't come back on. This breakdown covers 5 ways a regional conflict turns Japan's orderly life into a survival trap, ranked from slow building strain to the most dangerous daily life collapse. You have about 20 minutes of battery backup in most transit hubs before the darkness becomes permanent. People often assume that government has a secret warehouse for everything, but the truth is that Tokyo runs on a 3-hour inventory cycle. Here is the reality of the system failing. Number 5, the gray strain. Japan has the oldest population on the planet. In a wartime economy, that demographic reality becomes a massive, invisible weight on every household. You might think the system is built for resilience, but it's actually optimized for efficiency. Efficiency hates a surge in demand. When shipping lanes through the Strait of Hormuz or the South China Sea tighten, the first thing that falters isn't the power grid. It is the chemical precursors needed for specialized medicine. The proof is in the pharmacy shelves. Japan imports a staggering amount of its raw medical ingredients from overseas markets, often from the very regions that would be contested in a Pacific conflict. If the supply chain for blood pressure meds or insulin stretches from weeks to months, you aren't just looking at a health crisis. You're looking at a massive diversion of family energy. A hidden stabilizer here is the high social cohesion. Japanese neighbors will look after each other longer than most cultures. However, the ugly vulnerability is that the younger generation is too small to carry the physical load of an aging population during a prolonged outage. Most people try to wait for the government to restock the local clinic. That is a mistake that burns precious time. The better move is to secure a 90-day buffer of essential prescriptions now, while the ships are still moving. If you're there tonight, map out every pharmacy within walking distance and identify which ones carry deep backstock. This slow-burn medical crisis differs from the immediate, high-intensity shock of a logistics failure at the local corner store. If this kind of breakdown helps you see the trap before it closes, like the video and follow along. That's what this channel is for. Number 4, the konbini collapse. In Japan, the convenience store is the heartbeat of the neighborhood. It isn't just for snacks, it's where people pay bills, ship packages, and get fresh meals. The thesis here is simple. The konbini is a masterpiece of just-in-time logistics that carries exactly 0 backup inventory. The proof is in the delivery schedule. These stores often receive 3 or 4 truck deliveries every single day to keep the shelves full. When a cyber attack or a fuel shortage hits the regional logistics hubs, that 3 delivery-a-day pulse stops. You'll see the shelves go bare in less than 6 hours. The catch is that most Japanese apartments are tiny, with almost no pantry space. This means the entire population is effectively outsourcing its food storage to a truck that is currently stuck in traffic or out of diesel. A hidden stabilizer is the incredible discipline of the Japanese workforce. They will try to keep those stores open even in a blackout. But the ugly vulnerability is the digital payment system. If the network is down, the cash registers don't open. In a society that has moved rapidly towards touch-and-go payments, a dead cell tower means you cannot buy a bottle of water. Don't rely on the store being your pantry. The safer call is to keep a rolling stock of calories hidden in your home, even if it's just under the bed. If the store terminals go dark, switch to physical cash immediately before the crowd realizes the digital ledger is gone. While a lack of snacks is a headache, the logistical collapse of the store correlates with a much deeper failure in national calorie imports. Number 3, the calorie gap. Japan's food self-sufficiency sits at about 38% on a calorie basis. That means if the ships stop coming, 2 out of every 3 people don't eat. It is a stark, mathematical reality that no amount of national pride can fix. The proof is in the soil. Japan is mountainous and the arable land is already pushed to its limit. Most of the fertilizer used to grow what little they do produce is also imported. In a global conflict, the friction isn't just about enemy blockades. It's about the cost of shipping insurance and the scarcity of bulk carriers. The mechanism of failure here is the feed to protein pipeline. Japan imports massive amounts of grain to raise its livestock. When that grain stops, the meat disappears first, then the eggs, then the dairy. The hidden stabilizer is the deep-sea fishing fleet, which is world-class. However, the ugly vulnerability is that those boats need massive amounts of diesel to operate. If the fuel is rationed for the military, the fishing fleet stays in port. People think they can just switch to a rice-only diet. The problem is that Japan even imports a portion of its rice, and the domestic crop depends on stable irrigation pumps. The better play isn't to buy more rice. It is to learn how to process and store calories that don't require refrigeration. If you're in a Japanese city, identify the local green spaces that are actually community gardens, but realize they won't feed a ward of 100,000 people. Widespread hunger makes the failure of the power grid worse because you cannot process or preserve the few calories you have left. Number 2. The energy choke point. Japan is an energy island with no land-based pipelines. Almost every watt of electricity and every liter of fuel comes in through a handful of massive ports. If those ports are mined, sabotaged, or hit by cyber attacks, the entire country enters a state of permanent friction. The proof is in the power bill. Japan's reliance on liquefied natural gas and coal is nearly total since the nuclear restarts remain slow. When the tankers stop, the grid starts to shed load. You won't get a total blackout at first. Instead, you will get rolling outages that eventually stop rolling and just stay off. The catch here is the water-energy nexus. In Japan's dense cities, water is moved by electric pumps. If the power stays off for more than 4 hours, the pressure in the pipes drops to zero. No toilets, no showers, no drinking water. The hidden stabilizer is Japan's massive strategic petroleum reserve, which can last months, but that is reserved for the essential functions of the state, not for keeping your air conditioner running in a 95-degree August. The ugly vulnerability is the sheer complexity of the grid. A single well-placed cyber strike on a transformer hub can take months to repair because the parts are not made locally. Don't assume the tap will work because you are in a first-world city. The safer call is to have a gravity-fed water filtration system and the means to store at least 20 gallons per person. If the lights go out, fill every container you have immediately. When the power grid fails, it causes the very structure of the modern high-rise to turn against its inhabitants. Number 1. The vertical urban trap. If you live in a high-rise in Tokyo, Osaka, or Nagoya, your apartment is a miracle of engineering that becomes a prison the moment the system fails. This is the most dangerous daily life breakdown because it combines physical isolation with a total loss of life support. The thesis is this: a 40-story luxury condo is only habitable if the elevators, water pumps, and climate control are all working perfectly. The proof is in the physics. You cannot carry enough water up 40 flights of stairs to keep a family hydrated and clean for more than a day or two. When the elevators stop during a wartime blackout or a period of civil unrest, you are effectively stranded. If you stay, you starve and dehydrate. If you leave, you abandon your only secure shelter and join a million other people on the street. The hidden stabilizer is the building's earthquake proofing, which keeps the structure safe. But the ugly vulnerability is thermal mass. In the summer, these glass-walled towers become ovens without air conditioning. In the winter, they are concrete iceboxes. This rank beats the energy choke point because while a blackout is a resource problem, the vertical trap is a physical barrier to movement and survival. Most people never consider it until the doors are stuck. The better move is to have a level 0 backup plan. This means having a place at ground level, or at least within 5 floors of the street where you can move your family if the grid looks like it is going down for weeks. If you're in a high-rise now, map out the service stairs today. Find a way to store a week's worth of water at the bottom if possible. Most residents will stay in their apartments far too long. They hope for the orderly Japanese system to save them until they are too weak to make the climb down with their gear. Don't be the person who waits for a rescue that cannot reach the 30th floor.